Hey everyone, welcome back to Simply EDU, and in this video I'm going to be talking about how to get a 36 on the ACT reading. So for our video overview, first I'm going to talk about my prep and my experience with the ACT, then for some general strategies, and I'll end off with the walkthrough. Now you might be wondering why I don't have the content explanations, like specific content in this video like I might usually do, and the reason for that is that for reading there's not really as much content that you can go through unless you want to literally define every single word in the English language, right? And so it's more important to just have these general strategies because in the end, reading is mainly about skills. And for that reason, I highly emphasize watching the walkthrough at the end, as in that you can see how I go through these passages and these questions. So with that being said, first, my prep. So I took the ACT back in February of 2023 and I got a 36 on all the sections. Now in terms of how I prepped, the week before my ACT, I had the whole week off due to snow. So for 9 days straight, I just took a practice test every single day. And by doing that is how I came up with a lot of strategies that you'll see in this video and really how I got good at the ACT reading. So first, for some general strategies. So the first and the biggest thing is to read the passage first. Now, I guess this applies a little less for the ACT than it does for other tests, but the reason that I say read the passage first is that a lot of the time people say read the question so you know what you can target and then go back into the passage, but I don't think that works because when you read the questions, a lot of the time you don't even remember all the questions they're asking for, and then you're gonna already spend a lot of time reading the questions. Even if you're supposed to skim it, you won't, right? Then you go read the passage, short on time, so you try to speed through it, and it's just gonna lead to this whole chain of events that you're not really gonna remember the passage well, and so it's gonna be hard to do all those broad questions like main purpose, main idea, and you're probably not even gonna remember the details well, which is important for the ACT. So I recommend reading the passage first, and don't worry if you spend a lot of time doing that. It's important to really grasp the passage really well, and remember the details, understand what's going on, and then you can get through the questions really quickly. Next is to do the easiest passage first. Now, one thing I notice is that a lot of the time, the first passage you do, and this applies for science as well, the first passage always is the slowest. Not necessarily that you might take the most time, although usually it does, but just in general, your pace is the slowest on the first passage. So I'd say it's best to do the easiest passage first. And now, what's the easiest passage? It's really just whatever's easiest for you. Whether you like science more, literary narrative, whatever is best for you. And the reason I say this is, again, if you're going to be slow, you should be slow on one that's going to take you less time. Because let's say I'm going so slow that I'm going at the time it would take me is 1.2 times the amount of time that it would normally take me. Then, in order to minimize the amount of extra time wasted, I'd want to go on the easiest passage. Then when I get back up to a fast pace, I'm doing it on the harder passages. And in general, your brain's more ready and equipped. Once you do a passage already, you're ready to read more complex passages later. So I always recommend doing the easiest passage first. Now, as for dual passages, my strategy is to go read the first passage, answer the questions for the first passage, then read the second passage, answer the questions for the second passage, and then answer the combined questions. And I do know some people, they like to read both passages, then go answer all the questions. I don't recommend doing that just because you're probably going to forget what they said in the first passage, or you're going to get mixed up between who said what. And next thing is guessing. Now, main thing is to avoid extremes, and really this isn't even just guessing. This is applying to all answer choices, but especially when you're guessing, try to avoid anything that's sounds extreme, right? So maybe any answer choice that involves words always or never and things like that. Now, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily completely wrong, but in general, those choices are not correct. Now, the other thing is counting, and I know this strategy has already made some noise, but the reason that this strategy basically means that, and this is especially by the way good for the ACT because it's on paper so you can see your bubble sheet. This basically means that there's 40 questions, right, for the reading section. So now, although this isn't a rule, you should probably have a relatively even amount of A's, B's, C's, and D's, right? You should have 10 A's, 10 B's, 10 C's, 10 D's. Again, it doesn't have to be that way, but probably should be, right? So if you're nearing the end of the test and you don't know what to do, you have these questions that you just can't pick the answer, then pick whatever's going to make it equal among the 4 sections. So if you really haven't picked a lot of A's yet, then go ahead and pick A for that question that you're just totally unsure about. And another strategy that I actually haven't written on here, but it's very important, is to read the blurb before every passage. Again, they always give you some information that can really help you contextualize and visualize what's going on in the passage, and that helps you answer all the questions and just understand what's going on a lot better. And now the final thing is that the questions are in sequential order. And now this might not help you if you're trying to get like the main purpose, the main idea, author's point of view or whatever, but the reason I'm saying that the questions are in sequential order is that sometimes they're not going to give you a line reference, but there's going to be some question that might be asking about, oh, what did this character say, or what did this character do, right? And then before that and after that, you might have some questions that do have line references. So what you can do is that you know that, let's say we're on question 5, and question 4 references line 30, and then question 6 references line 50, right? That means whatever question 5 is talking about has to be between those 2 lines, right? So in case you're stuck on the question 5, then you can go ahead, skip it, go to question 6, answer that. But once you do, you know that, okay, question 6 is targeting this line, question 4 is targeting this line. That means whatever my answer for question 5 is, so long as it's not like a broad question, like that it's referencing the whole passage, then the answer to question 5 should be within that section. So reread that section and think, just from the information provided in this section, and I guess maybe all the information before that, but mainly in this section, what can I understand and what can get me the answer to this question, right? I know I did say to read the whole passage first, but try not to use information from later on in the passage to answer that question if that question is referencing something earlier on in the passage. And that's it for the general strategies. So now let's get on to the walkthrough. So now I'm going to do a live walkthrough of of 2 ACT reading passages. This right here is preparing for the ACT 2023-2024 PDF. So if you want to go ahead and check that out online, you can. And I'm going to do passage 1 and 2. Passage 1 is a dual passage, so hopefully that really helps train the skills that y'all struggle with. So because I'm going to do half of the test, I'm going to give myself 18 minutes, and with that being said, let's get started. Okay, there we go. So, okay. So, in passage A, the parenthetical information in lines 19 and 21 to 23 mainly serve to what? So let's go to the parenthetical information. One of his cardinal rules, and the worst thing you can possibly do to a piano, he told me more than once. And this is referencing transporting it by ship and the humanity of the environment. So, specify how Luke identified certain aspects of piano's history. It's not talking about the history. Portrayed as overly judgmental about transportation. It's not just talking about transportation, and overly judgmental is an extreme answer choice. Describe the types of rules that visitors were required to follow. They were not required to follow, so that's extreme. And the types of rules that visitors, it's not just visitors, it's things that he believes about piano users in general. And indicate some of his firm beliefs about piano care. Both these are talking about different ways to care about pianos. One about how you treat it at home, and one about how you treat it when you're transporting it. So, basically, search in passage A, an attitude about people treat the piano as a philosophy of life, which is the following statements would most mainly describe his philosophy of life. Okay. Oh, oops. There we go. So, his philosophy of life. Well, it's better to have a full and perfect life than participate in something wrong. That sounds good. Fragile gift, we should share. 25 through 26. We should go read that first. Philosophy of life. Depredations worked by children because piano is at least used and, as he put it, part of the family. Okay, so he likes that. Although it's getting damaged, he's happy that it's being used. That's important. So, it's better to live a full and perfect life than not participate in something like all wrong. That does tie into what he said down there as well, 35 to 36. That could be correct. Life is too fragile, killing is cherished and kept safe at all times. That disagrees with what he's been saying because he does want it to be used. Living well is like playing the piano well. It does not talk about playing the piano. That can't be right. It's important to not to take life's opportunities for granted. It doesn't talk about life's opportunities. So the best choice is F. Okay. As is used in line 32, the phrase bit into most certainly means what? 32. Okay. If drinks are spilled and stains bit into shiny finishes, so it's like making it dirty. So pinched isn't right, ingested isn't right. Okay, marred. Marred is correct because like it's like a stain on it, right? So mar is the most accurate word. Okay, passage B. Mark Lesher. Cajole, partner, want to access. Okay. So the third paragraph of passage B, 61 through 65, they transition from what to what. So, okay, here they're talking about other musicians, but then in their relationship with their violence, and then after that, kind of what he said here, they start to think more about their own relationship with their violin and what they're going to do after they retire. So, what answer choice indicates that? No, because he's not really supporting the argument. He's not really like supporting an argument, right, at all. Introducing musicians he admires to explain why people admire him as a musician. He's not really talking about him as a musician, but more of like as in like not a musician in the sense that he makes music for people to hear, but more of like as in he uses his violin. So I wouldn't pick that. His own emotions about his violin. Nope, that's not right because he was talking about other people's emotions about their violin, not his own. So the best choice is J because, yeah, connection other musicians, their instruments, and then his own connection with his violin. Right, so you're talking about I'm a friend, I'm an enemy, my violin. So yeah, not me, like artist. Okay, so right off the bat, I can reject choices A and B because this is not a fact. You can't like prove that they're a great artist. It's an opinion. Author attributes his colleagues and students. Right there. Yeah, he's not talking about his colleagues and students to support that, so it should be D. Yeah, because he's not supporting that as a claim. Passage B. Okay, responsible. That's right there. To point out that no, it's not F or G. Like, it's not about the woman, right? And he might have enjoyed the comment, but the best choice is J because the point that he's trying to indicate is that like me and the violin are together. I make it make sounds, and the violin is what brings me on stage. Passage B indicates the violin sometimes an average area by stating, okay. Adjustments every whim. Something from like adversary. Okay. Lies mute in its case is up there. Makes him adjust to his whims is the same paragraph. Response to the rating of emotions is there. And speaking words is there. So the only one that's even in the same paragraph is going to be B. So that's the correct answer. Compared to passage A, passage B is more directly focused on. Okay, A is more about the damage. F is more about characteristics that no, because A again is more about damage and the history and the instrument itself, and not necessarily as much about the relationship. Interdependence, yeah, that sounds good. And no, again, passage A talks about that, but B doesn't. This is a passage B focused question. So the answer is H. Contrast the way the piano is described in passage A. The author's violin in passage B is described as exhibiting unique characteristics. A talks about that as well. That can't be right. Having an active personality of its own. I mean, you did talk about being a friend, being an enemy, having emotions, so that could be correct. Sustaining damage from careless children. It does not talk about children at all. Being important to daily life. See, I wouldn't pick that just because both of them are described as being important to daily life, right? And like I feel like passage B does indicate it does talk more about like it being its own kind of person, and in terms of daily life, that's not really what it's mentioning. It's not talking about daily life. It's talking about like fun and like self-fulfillment. Right? Which the following assertions about instruments is most strongly supported by details in passage A and B. An important part of the joyful music. I do agree with that. That does seem kind of good. Should be revered at note. That's not right. Well, B doesn't talk about that. Selling your instrument, no. Maintaining poor humidity, come on. It's a joke answer. The choice is F. So, yeah, because both of them do talk about like caring and being familiar with your instrument. Okay, we're doing all right on time. It's never Kenny Holmes' attention to become a wedding singer. Okay, blurb first. Adapt from the article Notes from a Wedding by that. Okay. Nice name. Okay. The main purpose of the passage is to what? So it's talking about his life and how he became a wedding singer. Okay. Holmes musically, that's kind of correct, but I don't know if it's about his musical tastes. I guess not wedding. Um, not just a wedding musician, by the way. It's talking about his career changes. That's more accurate. How personal, hectic professional life affect? No, it does not talk about his personal life. Highlight how different instruments, the different instruments. Oh, the previous passage is about instruments as well. Okay. Mastered and become. No, it's not talking about instruments though. document how Holmes eventually became an enterprising band leader. I would say that's the best choice because we are talking about his career aspirations. One theme of the passage is previous experiences and pursuits. Yeah, I did talk about his production skills helped him do that, his familiarity with the country to do that, classical music helped him do that. So it does look like his previous experiences did help him become who he currently is. So that does seem like something that's kind of accurate. Talent is the most important factor. I mean, I'm not really talking about talent like that. Recognizing one's limitations is important. Overcoming failures. It's not talking about failures or limitations. Pursuing one's dreams should take no. Oh, that's too big. Okay. Answer choice F. Which the following events occurred in the past? Last chronologically. Okay. Wait. Alright. This is gonna be kind of hard. 8 musicians. This is okay. Wait. Started driving a live limousine. That was here, and then fairly say 3 or 4 years respectively. So 3 years, 4 years. So Taylor has been playing for 4 years, okay, and then so wait at the same time. I would think if it's 3 years for Bronner, 4 years for Taylor. That means Bronner joined later. Okay, so it can't be A. It has to either B or what's further down. Holmes, he's been driving limousines for 9 years. So that can't be right. And then Sound Ideas, it's way back there. So the correct choice is probably B. All right. Okay, gotta go faster. Based on the passage, the residents of Gordon Heights would best be described as. It's on here. Thinkers. Okay. Driven, optimistic, sophisticated. I mean, I don't really talk about artistic necessarily. Driven, optimistic. That seems important. They own sense of ambition. That's optimistic. Friendly and easygoing. Not really. Generous and dependable. Generous is inaccurate. I'd say G. Main purpose of third paragraph, 13 to 22. Let's talk about his upbringing and his introduction to music, right? So let's see, which is talking about that. No, didn't talk about his parents. Did not talk about his being a prodigy. Yeah, say D. Talk about why he loves music. Fourth paragraph is 2231. Virtuoso. Okay, so that's his first gig, I guess you could say. Better play music. Did talk about that. Promoting, he didn't talk about that. That is true. He was able to do that. National phenomenon. Did not say national. They were talented. More success. Okay, so it's G. I could make more money. Simple. Oh no. More profitable. Okay. Main idea of the 11th paragraph, 733 through 80 is okay. Okay, so there's turnovers, a lot of musicians in his team. Wait. Oh, fairly steady. Okay. So this is actually no, it's a consistent team. Musical style was much better. No, more band members to play. Didn't compare it at least. Consistent for a high turnover rate. Both of those are mentioned. That's probably correct. Lineup is constantly changing. No, it's H. Can also reasonably be inferred that unlike other band leaders. Yeah, that's B because other band leaders use recordings and then something more canned. Whoa. Oh, let's be okay. We have 1 minute left, so let's be clutch here. Ultimately, putting the messy alchemy of live music, something more canned. So canned is that's the recorded music, right? As in, the band leaders who play recorded music, while the messy is them playing it on their own. So something more canned refers to That'd be, yeah, recorded music. 'Cause improvised music is the more messy thing that they prefer. So the answer should be J. And with 22 seconds left, that is it for the walkthrough. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and good luck on the ACT. I really hope this helped.